You may have noticed many Olympians like Michael Phelps with large red circles on their skin. No, they're not perfectly round love bites or the result of a Team USA paintballing spree. These mysterious dots are actually the result of an ancient therapy known as cupping, where heated cups are placed on the skin. As the flame burns away the oxygen, a vacuum is created and blood is drawn to the surface of the skin, causing capillaries beneath the skin to rupture, which is why they appear as bruises. Apparently, it's not that painful, and they're used to ease aches and pains and heal the toils of constant training. However, while many athletes may admit that they soothe aches, very few studies prove these huge scientific claims, and it may act more like the kinesio tape that many athletes also wear. Instead, both procedures are perhaps more psychological, relating to the placebo effect. Think about it. If some new technique claims to enhance your performance, you go into your competition with heightened expectations of your performance, whilst your competitors assume that you've got an unfair advantage and may therefore be in a worse psychological position than you. Number 9. Why is the diving pool green? One of the strangest things to happen at the Olympics was the change of color that occurred in the Olympic diving pool overnight following competition on Monday. What is particularly odd is that the adjacent water polo pool showed no signs itself of any problems at first. Athletes and bystanders wondered what was going on. Is it the lighting? Was it some sort of prank? Or are aliens to blame? Well, as reported by Rio officials, the truth is that the pool is green because of algae. Yes, the best athletes in the world are forced to dive into an Olympic pool of algae, which some would claim is an obvious confirmation of Rio's inability to host the Games. To make matters worse, less than 24 hours after the Olympic diving pool turned an unsettling shade of green, the neighboring water polo pool appeared to have been overtaken by algae. Even though it looks bad, officials claim that the different color doesn't actually indicate any more danger for the divers than a perfectly clear blue pool. Number 8. Why don't Olympic medal winners get flowers? Usually winning Olympians are greeted with a bouquet of flowers on the podium, but those of you who are sharp may have noticed that this isn't the case at Rio. Instead, each winner receives a small wooden sculpture of the Rio Olympics logo. But why? Well, the apparent reason for this is in keeping with the whole theme of the Olympics Games, which is that of environmental sustainability. For some reason, creating 2,500 single-use flowers didn't exactly go down well with this whole Go Green ethos. Number 7. Why was the wall built? Since 2010, in preparation for the Olympics, in a slum-ridden area to the north of Rio called Marais, a wall has been built. According to the government, the wall acts as a sound barrier. However, the mystery as to why it was built is less likely to be about protecting citizens in the slum from noise, but rather to hide them from foreigners. Citizens believe it is clearly meant to prevent those who leave the airport to the south zone from seeing the reality of the city, that is, the slums behind the wall. This is probably the best explanation for the wall because it becomes transparent when the slums disappear and nice new shiny buildings emerge. Number 6. Why is Rio's Olympics cauldron so tiny? Usually, the Olympic cauldron acts as a symbol of how grand the Olympics is, with each seeming to be larger than the next. The London one was a collection of a few dozen smaller cauldrons. The Sochi cauldron sat atop a giant replica torch in the Olympic Park. Yet, the fire in Rio is relatively dim. The small pot is another design call for low emissions and keeping the theme of environmental sustainability. To make it even more striking, they had a wind-powered sculpture hanging behind it, which makes for a pretty cool illusion. Number 5. Why do winning Olympians bite their medals? This biting habit isn't specifically about the Rio Olympics, but you've probably thought about this mystery before. In fact, it's such an enduring mystery that even Olympic historians don't understand it. It is often assumed to have stemmed from the age-old fashion of testing if something is solid gold or not by biting it. This is because pure gold is relatively soft and could leave behind bite marks should you chomp down on it. Yet the real reason isn't so interesting. It's simply that photographers continually nag the Olympians to bite their medals for the perfect shot. While some argue that they do it to continue the tradition, it's more likely that they simply think it's a more fun, playful shot than a boring old Olympian standing there doing nothing. Number 4. Is the Zika virus a real reason to skip the Olympics? The Zika virus, which is a mosquito-borne virus, can cause serious birth defects in infants born to infected parents. Brazil and Rio in particular is one area of the world where there is some risk of contracting this virus. So much so that a number of athletes have refused to attend the Olympics. So where's the mystery? Well, the real reason is less likely about the virus and more about money. First and foremost, the World Health Organization declared on the 14th of June that there's no reason to move or delay the Games, having concluded that those participating are unlikely to contract the virus. Nevertheless, some stars have cited the virus as their primary reason for withdrawing. As Forbes states, this has to be taken with a pinch of salt because the majority of the ones refusing to participate do so because they stand to earn very little from participating. Number 3. Why do swimmers wear 2 caps? You might have seen Olympic swimmers removing their cap, only to reveal another one hidden under it. So why is this? Well, there are two main reasons for this. The first is that two caps help to better secure their goggles, which could become a nuisance if they flooded. The second reason is that an extra cap layer maintains the shape and does not wrinkle as much as simply having one cap, therefore reducing drag so that the athletes can slide through the water with ease. It may only equate to a minuscule difference, but that may be what it takes to snatch the gold. Number 2, are 450,000 condoms enough? Alright, this one is far less serious, but it's extremely interesting nonetheless. Apparently, the International Olympic Committee has provided 450,000 condoms to athletes who are likely to perform just as much exercise after their events as during them. With 10,500 athletes competing, that equates to a whopping 42 condoms each. While some of the machines aren't in the Olympic Village, that's a record and far higher than the 150,000 provided at the previous London Games. So why are so many being provided, and is 42 per person even enough? Well, the record-breaking allocation for Rio is reported to be so high because female condoms are being given away for the first time, and actually, the condoms aren't just available for athletes, but media and Olympics workers as well. Some might cite the Zika virus as another reason, but it seems not to be a main factor. With the rise of Tinder, and the last Sochi Games notoriously being called the Tinder Olympics, there's no doubt that the Games will consist of a college campus like hookup culture. On top of that, Rio is renowned as a sexually free place, in some cases quite literally. But it's not like Olympians will be entering brothels though, right NBA stars? So, 450,000? The truth is that nobody can solve this one, but I'm pretty sure it would suffice. What do you think? Oh, and if you're still convinced that the IOC issues them to be used as water bombs, then why do rooms in the Olympic Village come complete with metal-framed beds, while TVs are absent? Number 1, is the Olympics even worth it? Never has this question been more important than when considering the Rio Olympics. Just 49 days before the Games commenced, the governor of Rio de Janeiro declared a state of financial emergency. He pleaded for federal support due to a $5.5 billion tax shortfall and Brazil's ongoing deep recession. It's no wonder because hosting the biggest party in the world and paying for it is never going to be cheap. This is the reason why residents in Rio have been protesting about the Games, because many of them are struggling financially, whilst the government has been lashing out billions for Olympics complexes. So there's clearly a lot of opposition to the Games, but are they missing the point? Well, a majority of economists argue that making money from the Games is simply wishful thinking. Economists who have studied the Olympics extensively, including Andrew Zimbalist and Stefan Stamansky, admit that there just isn't enough data to support the idea that the costs of the Olympics are made up over time, and in fact each summer Olympics can lead to deficits, huge deficits, of up to $15 billion. Hosting the Games is properly best thought of as a gamble. Probably a gamble that Brazil regrets taking now that they're in a recession. Either way, we'd like to know what you think. Do you think Brazil will benefit from the Games? And do you think it's the least prepared city ever to have hosted the Olympics?